So as you can see, I put the white plastic over the flaps that I have in the barrels after I duct taped the flaps closed. And of course that was all because I wanted to fill around them all the way to the top, because I want to build something across so I'll have access. So I didn't want to get any dirt inside the barrel because the flaps are pretty large. So I wanted to have those large in case I needed to, in the future, if I had to have these pumped out. And of course, before all that, I wanted to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do and working properly. So that's why I put the duct tape over them and the white plastic, so that they wouldn't get dirt inside, because that's not a good thing. So in just a bit, I'm going to jump down there and start packing the dirt around the barrels so it's extra tight here. Because I'm trying to make sure that they stay in place and don't pop up if it rains or anything like that. I'm going to attempt to get a little water in it a little bit later. And this connector there, I gotta take out a little bit so that I can make sure I pack it underneath the 3-inch pipe. They're just about covered now to where I want them. I'll have to knock some of this down, but I won't be able to do that until I put the drain in to make sure it's level where it's supposed to be. Then I can add some of that stuff there after I put something underneath it to make sure that it's not going to move. Okay, so I think I'll just end that video. So I think I'll just end that video. You get a idea of what this whole thing is going to be like. So I have to fill it, this hole back up to the rims of these barrels. That way I can put something on top and I'll be able to monitor what's happening inside, since I have those flaps in there and they're big enough for me to open up and check things out. So that's going to be the end of this video, and there you go. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time filling this in. On tomorrow I'm going to go in to get some pea gravel to put underneath my drain line here, so I can cover that up and get that ready to be covered, so that I can make sure it's doing what it's doing after I get enough water in here, so that it'll start leaching out into the earth. That's the idea. So that's what's going to happen. It's a lot of dirt I got to put back in. There's going to be a lot in this area because the pipe from the house has to basically go at an angle right to this pipe here, but everything else will have to get covered up, and all this dirt that was taken out has to go back. So that's going to be a good little job. I think most of that dirt is here, hopefully, and I'll just somehow shove it back in there, and that'll be that. After I get this pipe run from the house, once that pipe is run from the house, then I'll be free to start using the toilet to test it out and make sure everything is flushing like it's supposed to. I gotta say, I can't wait for that, because using a bucket and using a hole in the woods, it gets a little old sometimes, and I think I'd rather do my business inside in the comfort or semi-comfort of my own home. Gotta say though, the plastic worked out really well in keeping the dirt out. That was a pretty decent idea, if I don't say so myself. So whatever I put on the top will probably end up right about here, all the way down, and then of course it goes downhill a little bit, so this side is going to be a little bit more shallow, but it's probably okay if it sat up and it was a little bit higher than this part here, but that's okay. I'm not going to have people walking back here or coming back here, driving back here very much, so this is far enough away from the house so that it's not going to be in the way. Okay, so the time lapse that you just saw, I was putting 10 gallons from these small containers into each one of these. And the reason I was doing that was because I didn't want these to actually float up. I heard they would float up if there's no water in them or anything in them, so I wanted to make sure that they actually stay down because I'm getting to the end of my stay here. So I'm going to actually leave the tops of these open, but I have a frame, I guess you could call it a frame, that I'm going to put around it to make sure I have access to these 3 tanks down the line. A lot of times I've seen people bury these and they would just leave them with no way to monitor them to see if they're doing what they're supposed to do. This is my first time doing such a thing, so I wanted to make sure that these things are actually working the way they're supposed to work. So I have these little slits cut in each one so I can open them up over a period of time to check, because the frame will come up probably right to the height of the earth or the finished ground. So I'll have a top on it screwed in so that you can't just get in it, but I'll be able to take that top off and open these up and look inside to make sure that all 3 are performing the way they want. I'm also thinking about putting in an aerator probably in the second one here so that this water is a lot more cleaner when it goes to the third one. That's just a thought. I've seen that happen, and I know that that's done on a lot of traditional septic tanks where there's an aerator that's used, and when the liquids get to the last stage and they're ready to go out into the leach line, what happens is that a set of sprinklers come up and sprinkle your grass or yard with the liquids from the septic tank. And of course it's all nice and clear so that there's no, of course you're not going to drink this water, but it's going on the grass. So it's making use of it instead of letting it go underground, it's bringing it above ground. Not that I want to do that, but I want to do something similar where the water is just a lot cleaner as it goes out. So that's what happened, and the way that I was doing it was that old school siphoning way that kind of came to me because I was actually going to cut this off and open up these slats, and that would be a little messy because these are a little difficult to handle because 10 gallons of water is pretty heavy. So I thought of the bong holes in here. Now this one is the first one from the house, so I have this piece where this is going to go on the inside, and that will connect with the house, which will start the whole process. So that was pretty easy. I just opened that up and let that go. These 2 here, you saw me cut holes in the plastic where the bong holes are, and I just took those out, did my little siphoning trick, and it just went right in, and that was actually pretty good. So that's what that time lapse was about. So I'm going to carry on because, like I said, I'm getting ready to close this up and close everything out because I'm getting ready to go back home and go to work. So that's what's going to happen next, or actually that's what I did. So now what's going to happen next is I'm going to look at running my sewer pipe or my drain from here to the house, cutting a hole in here where the toilet is going to go, and putting my plumbing in to connect it. Then I'll be able to cover all this up, and I think I'll be safe with leaving and nothing basically popping up out of the dirt, because even the piece I'm going to put on top is made out of a bunch of 2x6s, and by the time that thing gets done, it's going to be pretty heavy. So okay, so I'm going to carry on. that's that. I think the septic system is done. The only thing now to do is to install the toilet inside, do a couple of flushes and make sure everything is good and everything is flowing. So I thought about leaving this open so I could check to make sure, but I'm a little paranoid about getting dirt in it. So I wanted to go ahead and close it so that nothing gets in it. And hopefully everything is working okay. I will go ahead and close up all of that up to about here, and this is where I will put my little framing opening or whatever so that I can check it at another time. So that's what we got going, and you can probably understand why I built the house so high. I've been underneath homes before making repairs, and it's not fun. Sometimes they're just way too low. I have no room to work. So I purposely wanted to make this house so that I can easily go underneath it if I need to. Once the porch and everything is up, I'm going to close it all in. But if I needed to, I can get under there and actually get some work done, or even I can have storage under there also with some pretty large pieces of equipment or whatever. I'm a little thirsty. Haven't had as much water as I normally have in a day because I wanted to make sure I got this done, because I'm going to be here one more day, then I'm headed back out so that I can get back home and go to work and try and make some money, hopefully to come again. So hey, it was quite interesting. Never built a house before, and actually I've never done a septic system before, but I'm hoping everything works out okay. That's all we can do at this point, is hope. So anyway, I'm going to do a little bit more dirt here before I call it a night, and then we'll go from there. And tomorrow I'll go underneath again and finish tightening everything up under there, and hopefully everything is wonderful. And next video coming up. Stay tuned. So with that last time lapse, that concludes the septic system. All went well as far as I know right now. I had a little problem getting the 3-inch drain into the barrel because I'm at a little bit of an angle by comparison to when I put it in, because I put this in going straight because I was lining up with the bottom of the window, but I didn't realize that the bottom of the window is not the wall, and this is the wall right here, so the window is over a little bit. But anyway, that worked out. I had to trim a little bit off to get this in, and of course I got a little cut from my utility knife, a little bloodshed, a little on my pants here, but that's not too bad. So popped a band-aid on him. I'm surprised I could actually find the band-aids in the house and all that junk and stuff. So at any rate, that's what we have. So I decided to go ahead and close this first tank up here, the first barrel. I wanted to do a couple of flushes to make sure everything was okay before I sealed it up, but I think everything is going to be okay. I got a good fall from here and then a good drop from here, so I think everything is just going to flow downhill just like it's supposed to. Do what it's supposed to do in here, fill up, go to this one, that one, and then out to the leach lines. I'll do a little covering up here before I finish tonight, and then tomorrow I'll try and finish the rest of it up, at least this much here, because I wanted to make sure I have these 3 tanks here covered before I leave town. And these here, the leach line, I'll do as much as I can. May or may not get it completely full, but I definitely want to cover all of this up to here and right there and out a little bit. So that's what's going to happen tomorrow after I clean up all the mess I made inside. You should see it in there. It's a pretty good mess. It was a mess before I got started today, but now the bathroom is a mess. So I'll be able to clean that up, move all the tools around, and get that going. So that's it. The last thing I want to do is to have to maintain this house and crawl underneath it and can't move around. So all the plumbing and everything will be on this side of the house, and I have at least 3 feet underneath there where I can move around. So that won't be a big deal. Nothing's gonna happen over there, because once I get the porch done, I'm going to close all this in with skirting of some kind so that nothing can get underneath there, so I won't have anything hopefully living underneath there. So that was a reason I have such a tall house. And of course the landscape kind of goes down, because you can see at the other end of the house, it's only about maybe in the front a foot or so, but as the elevation moves down this way, it gets taller. I didn't realize that when I was building the house, but it was good that it happened that way. So now I can store things under here, and I can move around if I need to do any kind of maintenance and everything. So that's the reason why my house is a little tall. So at any rate, folks, I'm going to finish covering up a little bit of this hole that I'm going inside to clean up, and I'll see you guys on the next video. So stay tuned.